Hello everyone and welcome to French Tax Online. It is entirely possible for American citizens to buy property in France, whether as a holiday home or a rental investment. However, there are two key considerations to keep in mind: the length of your stay in France, which is limited to 90 days without a visa, and the structure of property ownership, which has implications throughout the period of ownership. So, should you buy in your own name through a French company or with a trusty old US LLC? We'll break it all down in this video. Let's go, guys! Buying property in France as an American. Key rules to know. American citizens are free to buy property in France without needing residency status, but there are some important points to consider. Visa requirements. Owning property in France does not grant you any special right to remain in the country. You will still be subject to the same immigration rules as any other non-EU citizen, which means a visa will be required for stays exceeding 90 days in a 6-month period. Tax residency. Owning property in France does not automatically make you a French tax resident. You can own a second or even a third home in France without becoming a French tax resident, of course. You would only become a French tax resident if you spent most of your time in France or if you were to transfer your primary residence there. We have made a dedicated video covering this topic. Wealth tax. Whether you are a French tax resident or not, you will be subject to the impôt sur la fortune immobilière, IFI, or wealth tax on your French real estate assets. While the tax rates are not excessively high, it is something to be aware of as part of your tax planning. Ready to dive deeper into the options and strategy for owning property in France as an American? Stay tuned for the next section of this video. Buying a French property through a US LLC. Is it possible? Many Americans own one or more companies and manage their real estate assets through these entities. While it is entirely possible and legal to purchase property in France using an American company, this approach comes with significant tax implications, as you'll see. When a US LLC directly owns property in France, it is subject to French tax obligations, including taxe sur la valeur vénale immobilière, TVVI, also known as the 3% tax. This is essentially an annual obligation to declare the true beneficial owners of the property acquired through the foreign company. Failing to make this declaration could trigger a penalty requiring payment of a 3% tax on the property's value for each year of non-compliance. Corporate tax. If the property is rented out, France taxes the rental income at the corporate tax rate, which is 15% of profit up to 42K and 25% above this threshold. But that's not all. Since an LLC is a commercial entity, you would also need to account for benefit in kind if you use the property personally, resulting in additional taxable income. Capital gains tax. When a foreign company sells a property in France, the capital gains is subject to French taxation. Unlike individuals, an LLC cannot benefit from deductions for the length of ownership or specific allowances available to private individuals. Additionally, a theoretical depreciation of the property is factored into the calculation, which can significantly increase the tax liability. The final bill can be quite hefty, let's say. We have created a video specifically on this topic if you want to know more. But why buy with an LLC? People who purchase property in France using an LLC often do so because their funds are held within the company and only the company can use them for the acquisition. They don't have that much personal money. If that's the case, there is an alternative that could help mitigate some of the negative tax impacts: creating a French company, wholly or not owned by the LLC. Using a French company owned by the LLC. This alternative involves creating a French commercial company, often an SAS or an SCI, taxed under city, that is entirely or partially owned by the US LLC. This approach has different advantages. First of all, easier access to mortgages. Having a legal entity in France makes it easier to secure a mortgage. It is nearly impossible to obtain financing for a property using a foreign company alone. 2. Fund management. The LLC can transfer funds to the French company as capital or loan, simplifying the financing of expenses and investments related to the property. Impact on capital gains tax. While this arrangement is far from perfect and will still result in higher taxes compared to personal ownership, using a French company as an intermediary can reduce some of the negative tax impacts compared to direct ownership by a foreign company. Purchasing in your own name often a more advantageous option. For many US citizens, purchasing property in France in their own name can be more beneficial due to the tax relief available in this scenario. No TVVI declaration. There is no obligation to declare beneficial ownership under the 30% tax rule. Capital gains tax. Buying in your own name allows you to benefit from the much more favorable capital gains tax regime for individuals compared to companies taxed under CT. We have dedicated a video to this topic as well. Buying property in France as an American citizen requires solid understanding of both French and US tax and legal rules. The available options, purchasing in your own name, acquiring through an LLC, or creating a French company owned by the LLC, each come with their pros and cons. For personal use, purchasing in your own name is usually the most advantageous option due to the tax relief on capital gains tax and the absence of the TVVI declaration. For long-term rental projects or more complex estate planning, creating a French company owned by an LLC may be worth exploring, although it involves heavier administrative and tax management. We are, of course, here to assist with any property acquisition project in France and will be by your side to implement the best strategy for your needs. Thank you very much for watching and see you very soon on the channel.